YouTube, what is going on? It is Sandz. Got The Last of Us multiplayer tips and tricks. Just going to share some general experiences with you guys and what, in my opinion, you guys can do to maybe step up your game or improve yourself. So in this particular round, I ended up going 15-3, which is pretty good. For those of you that have actually been playing the game a little bit, you know what I mean by that. So you can see right here that off on the left-hand side that I do have a mission. So it is to do down enemies. So I'm currently at 6 of 9, and obviously by the score, you guys know that I was able to complete that. So for those of you that are kind of wondering about these different missions, there's various things that happen to you while you're playing through multiplayer. So you'll have like dysentery outbreaks, or maybe you'll have the fireflies attacking your base, or the hunters attacking your base, depending on which faction you've chosen. And you're going to have a variety of different things that you're going to need to do in order to protect your faction. So there's a couple of missions that are going to be easier than others, and some of them are going to be like spotting enemies, some of them are going to be downing enemies, some of them are going to be, special kills. Those, in my opinion, are probably going to be your easiest. Reviving teammates are pretty easy. So those, in my opinion, at least, are your easiest. Now, when you first start off in the map like I did, I'll usually go ahead and sprint and run, and that's pretty much the only time that you're ever going to see me doing it. Now, in this particular map, what I like to do is come up here, and then when I got behind that log pile, I instantly entered listen mode, and then I just stopped and listened. And now the reason for that is because, I would say actually about 60 to 70% of the time, you're going to encounter somebody approaching this particular toolbox over here on this side. Now, I ended up waiting for a little bit because I wasn't sure if they were using the covert training perk or not. So if you're using covert training, of course, that means while you are crouched, they're not going to be able to detect you if they're in listen mode. Now right there, I ended up planting a bomb, which is more of one of those just kind of strategic placements of bombs. And, bombs are definitely your friend. You can use them to trap players. If you want to booby trap maybe a corner, or if you want to booby trap a toolbox, they're definitely pretty powerful. And of course you can use them to kind of arc. Now if you're going to arc throw a bomb, though, you run into the issue of people being able to sprint away. And that's kind of one of those things that of course is a good and bad thing, using that sprint button. And I guess that's kind of what I'm getting into right here. So we haven't really encountered anybody. I saw somebody on the opposite side, so obviously the enemy has now moved from their spawn, which is over here, basically up this right side where kind of I'm facing now. And the thing that keeps on bothering me is right now that radar was flashing. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's because my teammate was running. So whenever you run, or whenever your teammates run, that's when you're going to see that red mark on the minimap. So if you've ever seen that, it's because the enemy is running. So pretty much you never want to run, even if it's just, even if you only sprint for a split second, because that's going to announce your presence on the minimap, and you're going to give away team position. Rarely will you ever see me even sprint, or stand up. It's pretty rare. So right there, you notice that I ended up marking the guy, and then that I ended up taking a shot at him, which ended up actually working out pretty well because, there he was. He ended up kind of hustling over, and then he ran into my bomb. So that bomb placement worked well, and then I think me shooting at him helped kind of urge him to move on. Now I ended up spotting a guy as well, poking his head out of the back of the truck. So I ended up throwing the bomb in there, and obviously it was that guy that I just downed with the Molotov. So kind of pressing the pace a little bit. You're going to notice here, though, that this is actually where I first encounter my first death of the game. And now kind of reviewing this footage a little bit, and you can see that red mark right there, so I know that at least one enemy is over here. So this is kind of what I mean, You can see now that there's I got multiple red dots showing up, so this is why, you don't want to run. So because there's multiple dots up, I should have done a couple things. So right there, I ended up purchasing ammo, but I've got one round in, so I didn't reload. So this begs the question: A, should I have reloaded? Obviously I should have. B, should I have purchased armor instead, because now I don't have enough parts to purchase armor? C, should I have actually, tried to engage the guy in front of me? So those are kind of all debatable points and things to watch. Now with this portion, you're going to notice that there's all these red dots that are heading over, and I know that judging from the radar, which is basically your biggest ally here, that my teammates are engaging them. So I feel pretty safe and confident that I can go ahead and stand up and approach the enemy. And the reason for that is because I know that they are pressing the fight and probably have entered listen mode themselves, so they know that my teammates are over there, so I can go ahead and try and flank them. And now that's another big key element of this game, is the ability to flank. So if you have two of your teammates, or even one of your teammates that is actively engaging the opposite team, you want to use that to your advantage and try and catch the enemy on their heels. So it's just one of those nice things. So even with this guy right here, he was obviously crafting something and trying to put something together. But I also think that he saw movement on listen mode and saw my team where they had spawned, and that's why he was kind of facing the opposite direction. Same thing with that guy. He knew that I had killed his teammate. Wasn't exactly sure where it came from, but I believe that he had entered listen mode and saw my teammate, this guy right there, basically, creeping up on that side, threw a Molotov in the general direction, was able to kill me. So, kind of one of those things that that I'm not really too happy about as far as teammate play. Now, of course, if you're in there with a party, it completely changes the dynamic of the game. I actually haven't played with a team, but I could only imagine that your communication would be that much better, and you would be able to execute things much more according to plan. Now with there again, you can see on that right side of the radar, I mean, that guy is just like running straight forward. So obviously the enemy now knows where he is because there are red dots flashing everywhere. So for me, I am now looking at this. I try to get up on the roof right there, which you can't do. But I'm looking at this situation, I'm evaluating, and I'm saying, okay, so I've got 3 of my teammates that were over there. Now they're down to 2. They're actively shooting these guys. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and push over and flank if possible. And that's what I ended up doing right here. And what you see is I spot the one guy, and I go ahead and I pull out this bomb right here to throw. So I spot him, I end up throwing the bomb, and I'm able to get him down. Now this guy comes running. I'm not sure exactly if he knew that I was there or what his deal was. Then I start getting fired upon from the back, so that's when I end up running off. And the red dot comes up, so I know that guy was running after me. So luckily I had armor on though, so I was able to take that. Now the rest of my team is over here, so I feel like there's safety in numbers. If anything, maybe I'm being a little bit selfish, but if anything, they would definitely have taken any incoming fire. So maybe I shouldn't encourage that, but you can definitely hide behind your teammates, if you need to. Now, another thing that I've also noticed is that sometimes what your teammates, or not your teammates, but sometimes what people will do is they'll hurry to go gather their parts and supplies from a dead enemy. And now that's definitely a bad thing, in my opinion. And the reason for that is that typically there's going to be another enemy hanging around that area, and you're going to have more than enough time to flank back around at some point later on in the game and pick up the supplies. They're not going to go anywhere. And on the other side of that, if you see one of your teammates go down, go ahead and booby trap that. Throw a bomb down in that general vicinity, because the person is going to go back there wanting to pick up those supplies and parts, and that's a great thing to do. And now right here, I end up getting just a ton of kills by strategically coming up here in this little pavilion area where I've got line of sight. People aren't exactly sure where I'm shooting from because I've got this suppressed weapon. And you can see that I was able to really basically restock on ammo. Because my teammates are running around like a bunch of idiots, I'm able to really just kind of lie down here, lie down a great base of fire and get several people down and achieve my mission goal. So I run over here, gather the necessary parts that I need, and restock. So now I guess one thing that I wanted to briefly talk about is med kits. So med kits are pretty much scattered throughout the board. They don't really go anywhere. So as soon as you learn where they are, they're going to be there for every game, every map that you pop into. You don't necessarily need to spend your time and waste your supplies crafting them. So I pretty much don't craft med kits ever. I like to use those materials instead, save them up so that I can make Molotov cocktails like I did there. So I can make bombs if I need to, or smoke bombs or whatever else. So just a little food for thought. Now armor, armor is absolutely amazing. You're gonna piss people off. First off, just because ammo is one of those really rare things. You don't really have a lot of it, so if you run out of ammo, you're pretty much screwed. You're going to be down to bare knuckle fighting, and obviously if you're the one with ammunition, then you're going to be winning a lot of fights. Armor definitely gives you an additional 2-3 hits at a minimum, and you're really able to use that to your advantage. So now in this situation, obviously that guy that hopped in the window, he knew where my teammate was. So he had spotted the two teammates. He's the one that took down my teammate over by the wood pile. So he gets this guy down. So I followed him through this house and threw the Molotov down and was able to burn both of them. Now that house that I just went into, that's actually a very underutilized house on this map. I would suggest you guys actually examine the multiple entryways because there's more than one, and really kind of figure them out for yourself. Now in this instance right here, I actually kind of made a bad play. So I probably could have run a little bit farther or a little bit more directly away and gotten away from that guy, and I really didn't. So a little bit of a bad play, a little bit of a bad decision. I probably could have taken a more direct route, I think, up instead of diagonally, and I think that's how he was able to get the angle on me. So now at this point, I know that I have full body armor, and that's another thing that you're going to want to keep in the back of your mind. So I've noticed that sometimes people will end up buying armor twice, even though they have full armor. So instead of doing that, make sure that you evaluate how much armor you have, because sometimes you'll lose the body armor, but you'll still have your helmet. Sometimes obviously, after you get your head blown off, right, then you're going to need to buy, a helmet and new body armor. So save your parts, spend what you need to. But in that situation, obviously, I knew that my armor was still good because the guy basically just punched me to death instead. So then I was, like, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and purchase rounds. So you can see right there that I just got 500 additional points for downing another enemy, and so I'm sitting pretty well. So at this point, I'm creeping around. I'm pretty sure that they're spawning over here, and they are. I saw the guy through the car, through the listen, and then he showed up on the map, so it just reconfirmed, my suspicions of where he was. That was kind of interesting, I got, 2 or 1 hit on him, and then I wasn't able to finish the deal, which was kind of odd, kind of interesting. But and then he vanished off the map, so he entered crouch mode or whatever, and I decided that rather than obviously chase him down, I was going to try and flank him. And this is kind of, I think, one of those learning things right here. So obviously both of us see each other right here, and he tried to hit me with a board. And apparently you can't board each other, or you can't board someone through that. And this guy right here, this is just a fail. He tried to smoke bomb me, bounced off the U-Haul, ended up smoke bombing himself. So I was able to get the pistol on him. And obviously with that guy, he was just crawling around, so I didn't have to worry about him. But again, a lot of this is map situational awareness, so it's keeping track of your teammates, it's keeping track of the flow of the map, knowing where the enemy is and where what and where your teammates are doing. So as soon as you see that blue cross pop up on the map, obviously something's going down over there, and you can pretty much judge based off of the lines of fire where someone has been or where someone is going, and can pretty much guess at that point. Now this is kind of interesting, I guess maybe not interesting, anytime that you're going to see that red dot up top, you can pretty much guess that they're going to be up in that house, probably up in that little sniper position, but you got to be careful because they have that toolbox down below. Now you don't know if they've resupplied or not, but if they are the last man standing and they had an opportunity to resupply, then that means that they've automatically been given, a board or a baseball bat, a couple of bombs, and a Molotov cocktail, as well as a ton of other supplies and parts upgrades. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. So with this guy, obviously, what I was able to do right there was just outstrafe him and then get that final kill. So again, ended up going 15-3 with 13 executions. Give him the the teabag, which of course is necessary at the end. And hopefully this kind of helps you guys. I think that watching film is one of the biggest teachers, and sometimes you guys are able to catch on by watching other folks play. So I'm hoping that some of these little tips and some of the things that I do may help you with your gameplay. So if you're out there playing, make sure that you guys are staying in crouch, don't run, use your listen, and I hope you guys enjoyed the footage. And until next time, this is Sandz.